What led to FIFA President Sepp Blatter's sudden resignation? And how is this resignation likely to impact world football? Why are the arrests and investigations led by the FBI? And why was $10 million paid to CONCACAF and not to CAF? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. Barely 4 days after being re-elected as FIFA's president, Sepp Blatter has resigned after 17 years of service at the helm of the world soccer governing body. What makes his timing more interesting is that Swiss police arrested 7 FIFA officials, including 2 vice presidents, at a Zurich hotel last Wednesday. This is part of the FBI's probe on corruption within FIFA structures. While the curtain falls on Blatter's FIFA leadership that commenced in 1998, the $10 million SAFA is said to have authorized FIFA to pay CONCACAF in 2008, then led by Jack Warner for the Diaspora Legacy Programme, has become a bone of contention. But have the 2010 World Cup legacy funds reached ordinary South Africans? A reminder that this is a live program. Therefore, you can call us and air your views if you're within South Africa. The number to dial is 089-110-4210. If you're outside South Africa, it's 0027-8911-04210. You can also tweet us, our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. My guest today, Neil Collins, is a sport columnist for The New Age. And on the line, we'll have Christopher Bongo, who is also a sports analyst. Neil, welcome.
A very impressive intro. Loved it. All the right questions, mate. And there's been a lot of questions.
Okay. Now, before we go into today's program, I want us to firstly deal with this. We have to see what the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Fikile Mbalula, had to say today.
Do we have to?
Yeah.
We therefore wish to categorically deny that our country and government have bribed anyone to secure the rights for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. At the onset, we dismiss the allegations of bribery by our country. I also wish to indicate that as the current minister had noted the payment of the 10 million rand in the indictment and noted that this money was not paid either through government coffers or those of the local organizing committee. The fact that a payment of 10 million rands US dollars was made to an approved program above board does not equate to bribery.
That was the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Fikile Mbalula, today. But on our discussion yesterday, we carried the wrong picture of Andrew Ntewewe, and the correct picture was supposed to be the one on the screen. Now we apologize for the inconvenience and any embarrassment we could have caused as a program. Our apologies. Neil, you had the minister. He says the South African government and the LOC has not paid any bribe to anyone to secure the rights to host the 2010 FIFA World Cup. And we further called upon all to desist from commenting about the matter and to afford national government an opportunity to address the matter through diplomatic channels.
So I refuse to comment. No, listen, mate, I'm sorry. Fikile Mbalula and I have had a bit of a run-in over the last 48 hours. I believe firmly that he lied to the nation last week when he first got information. He wasn't one of the guys responsible, so he's not being blamed by me. All I'm saying is, mate, you take a bit of advice before you go in a press conference and say, as he did last week, we never gave any money to anyone, this is complete rubbish, it's a Hollywood movie. Today, he came out and a much better press conference, he spun it very well, and we all owe this Africa Diaspora Fund. They even brought out the old clips of Thabo Mbeki in 2009, I think those clips were from, actually talking about the diaspora situation, but never a diaspora fund. If you Google the Africa Diaspora Fund, you won't find it. It's a top secret organisation, clearly, designed to create football pitches for people of African descent in the Caribbean, where there are a lot of people of African descent because of slavery, and I believe they deserve that money. If we really paid them $10 million, we have about 125 million rand these days, then it would be great if I could fly out tomorrow and go and have a look at those pitches, those football.
But what is your position, Neil? Are you saying South Africa paid a bribe?
No, what I'm saying is that South Africa gave Jack Warner $10 million, which is a very dangerous thing to do, because we know what Jack Warner is like, and we've known for many, many years. When I was a journalist in Britain, Jack Warner was a known taker of inducements to vote the right way in various things, because CONCACAF then was such a small region, the USA and all these little countries, Canada being quite a big little country. So you don't give Jack Warner $10 million and expect him to do exactly what you expect with it. So what South Africa need to do now is make sure that Jack Warner says that they gave it to him in good faith, and that they didn't know he was going to pay Morocco back the $1 million bribe that he'd already taken from them to vote for Morocco. Because you have to remember all the African delegates.
So are you saying that South Africa is lying?
No. What I'm saying is that South Africa very much need to spin this a lot better than they've done so far, to make sure that we did it in good faith. We gave $10 million to the Caribbean Football Union in good faith. Please, guys, spend this on guys of African descent.
Do you believe that?
No.
You don't believe that?
I'm not sure that I believe that. And I'm not being funny, and I'm being stupid, because, I mean, how can I categorically say that Thabo Mbeki, who is now an ex-president, knew anything about the fact that this $10 million was going to be given to Jack Warner? He would pay off Morocco, he would have to pay Chuck Blazer, but he didn't pay him. Clearly that money helped Jack Warner decide to vote for South Africa, along with his other two CONCACAF delegates in the executive at the time in 2004. It's up to the FBI now to prove that South Africa at no point thought that they were helping to induce CONCACAF's 3 representatives to vote for South Africa, because the 4 CAF representatives were voting for Morocco. The CONCACAF had come out, Jack Warner included, and said they're going to vote for Morocco.
Okay.
Strange.
Let me bring Mr. Bongo here on the line. What is your take in as far as all these developments are concerned, eh?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and good evening to Colin. It's not my take. What I will do is to give you the fact of what I know and what I lived and what I experienced. I have been part of FIFA instructor since 2009 until 2013. And during that time, I spent 4 trips going to TNC, and they're going to Haiti in the FIFA Ball project. That was under the tutelage of Jack Warner, who was then the head of the FIFA development for the region. So what I know of the work that I have done there with many other consultants, there are a lot of work that has been done in Haiti before the earthquake, and there are a lot of work that FIFA has done in TNC. What we do forget, though, because it seems like Colin and many other people, we have a short memory of knowing that the FIFA 2010 World Cup was an African World Cup. That's how we got the vote. That's how we wanted to portray to the world. And that came with a lot of responsibility. Throughout my traveling, during that period before the FIFA World Cup, it was always said that South Africa, with the FIFA money, they will have to help many of the diaspora. And I do assume, and they listen to me very carefully, I do assume the reason the name Jack Warner keeps coming over is because at times, which Neil can check because he's a good journalist, you will find out that Jack Warner was the head of the development. So if the money went to him or went under his tutelage to look after it, it was probably because he was the head of the development which the money went to. Okay. I was in TNT myself, and I've seen the way. I worked there, by the way. I worked there twice.
But Chris,
and, yes.
Is it normal or abnormal to write in a letter to FIFA to say we would prefer that this particular project be handled by this particular person? Why be so detailed? What if FIFA had wanted somebody else to deal with the matter?
You did not hear me correctly. At the time, he was the head of the development. Yes. I just came from a trip in 2012. I was in Rwanda, where the head of the project, the money that was sent for the East Africa from the FIFA development, and they're sent by a specific country, which I don't have the liberty of saying which country was, they said they wanted Nadia to look after that money. And Nadia was the head of the development when I was in Kenya, in Rwanda for women's football. So it might be correct that a country that is sending the money has then the prerogative of saying, the name of the head of the project. I worked since 2009 until 2012 in a total of 12 African countries and the 2 CONCACAF countries, and I've seen the work and I was present.
Okay, good, brilliant. No, I like all that. Listen, Chris was a great bloke. I've dealt with him a few times over the years. I fully believe that FIFA funds development in all kinds of countries. But I think you hit the nail on the head twice, Malefi Oliphant, in his letter in 2007, wasn't it, to Jerome Falca, made the point twice, once in the intro and once as a stipulated point, that Jack Warner must have fiduciary control over this account. He must have complete control in CONCACAF's accounts of the $10 million that he's giving to the Caribbean Football Union. To anyone that's neutral, or anyone like me that's a terrible troublemaker and rabble-rouser, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, why the hell did you do that? Jack Warner's a known bloke in these circles that does that kind of thing. Since he's got into power, there's hotels have appeared, leisure centres, and as far as I know, from that $10 million, maybe, and I think we heard it from Fikile Mbalula today, there's no evidence of this money having been spent on the Africa diaspora. There's no follow-up happened. There's no trumpeting of the fact that, thanks to South Africa, taking $10 million of what should have been our World Cup money from FIFA, we gave it to Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago. Why can't we see it? I would like to see South Africa paid for this, or in honour of the first African World Cup, which was a great success. I spent my 2-3 years telling the Sun, telling the Telegraph, telling the Guardian, it's not going to be a bad World Cup, it's not going to be crime, it's going to be a great World Cup.
All right.
Remember that. And now I'm very, very disappointed if it turns out that we had to give 10 million to someone.
No, with due respect, Colin, what I want you, if possible, to change the language saying, our money. You keep forgetting that when you are writing the story about 2010 World Cup, it has never been a South African World Cup. If am I correct? It was always an African World Cup. So when you keep saying our money, what do you mean by our money?
I'm talking about South African money, Chris. Because all the CAF nations voted for Morocco. All 4 executives voted for Morocco. Even Ismail Bamji in Botswana voted. Even though we came and wined and dined him, he still voted. The Botswana bloke, Abdul Bamji's brother, who I knew really well, Abdul, in the 80s when he set up the NSL. They all voted for Morocco. It's South Africa's World Cup. Yes, okay, Africa's World Cup if you want.
Basically what Colin is saying, you are saying is, the promise that South Africa gave before the voting of the World Cup, after being awarded the World Cup 4 years later, South Africa is supposed to change their tune like other people and to become as bad as everybody else. I think in all this issue, what South Africans should do is actually to defend South African cause. They kept their mouth, they kept what they promised to do before the World Cup, and they kept the promise and they did it.
All right, Chris.
Yes.
Okay, just hold it there. I want us to take a quick break. When we return, we'll continue this discussion. This is question time, and please, we want to hear from you. The number to dial is 089-110-4210 if you are outside the borders of South Africa. 0027-89-110-4210 is the number. This is question time. Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today, Neil Collins, is a sport writer and, as he calls himself, a troublemaker. Christopher Bongo is a sports analyst, we can confirm. And this is question time. Please give us a call. Let's hear what you have to say regarding this particular issue. Now, Neil, you were saying during the break here that Danny Jordan did what he had to do to get the World Cup to South Africa.
In 2006, when Danny and Irving Koza got the first bid together brilliantly, 2003, I think Thabo Mbeki wrote the first kind of scripted preparation for it, they didn't do things the FIFA way. At the last minute, Charles Dempsey, who was informed to vote for South Africa, suddenly said, oh, I think I'm going to abstain, and then died soon after. So the problem being that we didn't deal with that bid the way that we probably should have done, the way that other nations in the past have dealt with. What should be happening at the moment, we should be examining all the World Cups, because every World Cup bid that I know of, particularly Argentina in 1978 when they had a military junta, is terribly, terribly corrupt. Why is South Africa getting looked at? Because Danny Jordan is a great bloke. He's an honest bloke. He's a scrupulous bloke. He did what he had to do to get the World Cup to South Africa, to get the votes. He took Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela to Grenada to a CFU meeting in 2004 at the last minute, let them on a plane, the old ex-president, bang, out to Grenada. That's where the first talk of the Africa Diaspora Fund came. Soon afterwards, the money was delivered. And then in 2008, long after the vote, we took $10 million off our FIFA Legacy Fund, which I'm a bit worried about the FIFA Legacy Fund, me and Danny. Okay. Talked to him about it a lot of times. I've got all the documents at home about it that Danny gave me. But ultimately, if it's proved that this money didn't go to grassroots football in the Caribbean for people of African descent, right? If it's proved, then I still say we did what we had to within the bounds of the way FIFA operates.
Okay, hold the thought. Prakash, you are in the Free State.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. You know, this really smacks of something fishy. When this happened at that time, how come our government, SAFA, did not make a big hullabaloo about this, that we are doing this for the CONCACAF? Why were they silent about this? How come this comes out in such a surreptitious way now? And
expected them to say,
why can't the minister come out clean and apologize to the South African public for not having mentioned this at that time? Why does it come out when there is an investigation into corruption and bribery?
No, but they did say that this is an African World Cup.
Sorry?
I'm saying they did say that it was an African World Cup.
Yeah, but
Trinidad and Tobago World Cup.
I agree.
Okay.
There are a lot of Africans throughout the world, but most of them are in Africa right here. If they did the 10 million in Africa, I'll understand.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Prakash. There are a lot of Africans that went throughout the world, and yes, we must support that.
Okay,
but
thanks.
why wasn't it done here? Why wasn't it advertised and published?
Thanks, Prakash. Chris, your response?
There is a very simple answer. This is what we need to tell people. And I know that Colin knows that. By the way, I agree with Colin in what he said, that we did everything we needed to do to get the 2010 World Cup. But let me answer that question. It is not president that an association or a federation sends money to another federation via FIFA. It is not a president that South Africa did it first and they have to say it. As I'm telling you now, Football Federation of France sends money via FIFA every month to Mauritius and Madagascar because they don't need a FIFA grant, and they ask it to be sent to Mauritius and Madagascar as a country they call in French outre-mer, which means diaspora. So they do that. Countries do that.
Okay.
England send their money to Myanmar to have their football. So what I agree with Colin is there is a kind of not open how to get the FIFA World Cup, and the lobbying going around and traveling, getting a person like Mandela traveling all the way to CNC. Of course it was a lobby. Of course there is some money spent there because you have to pay for the tickets. You have to pay for the travel. So
all right.
much involved for the hosting.
Okay, Chris. John, you are in Cape Town.
Yes, Mpo. What I wanted to say, I think Colin is right. Mpo, if you check from the media briefing which happened the first time, if really the minister wanted to come clear on this, he was supposed to come clean and say, people, we know about this 10 million thing which is being said, but this is what happened. It's for the African diaspora, this and that and that and that. Okay. But only to come up now on the second one, meaning that he wasn't well informed from the beginning about this thing. He thought maybe it's not going to come out the way it came out now. Now that the media, you were in front and you had all these copies, they had to work on those ones now and say, oh, people, this is what happened. Let's go and try to sort out our mess now.
Okay.
Thank you, Mbo.
Thanks very much. Let's quickly look at what Pastor Fosa says. The World Cup might never be seen in developing countries if a European is brought to the helm of FIFA.
I think Sepp Blatter's European, isn't he? As far as I can tell.
Okay. The intention of USA is to destabilize FIFA before time for Russia to host World Cup comes. FBI must be contained. Well, Robert Miranda says, thought Interpol should lead, but it will be interesting to find out why it's out why it's the FBI.
I can answer that question just briefly.
Okay.
Anyone dealing in corruption in US dollars around the world then becomes subject to the FBI's investigative powers across the world.
Right.
It started off as a drugs and terrorism thing, but it also involves football. If you're dealing in dollars, they can do you.
Now, let's look at conspirator number 15 and 16.
Yeah.
Who are those?
Am I allowed to say the names? All the newspapers tell me I'm not allowed to say it.
Go ahead. This is question time.
I think 15 was Danny Jordan. I think 16 was definitely Dr. Irving Koza. Malefi Oliphant's head sticks up every now and then, the elephant in the room. There is a couple of other. Tokyo Sequali's always around FIFA. I don't know why. I don't know. I think because he used to be Mandela's kind of sports spokesman. Tokyo Sequali still very close to Sepp Blatter. Whenever there's a racism problem at FIFA, Tokyo Sequali gets pulled out by Sepp Blatter. I don't understand quite how that relationship works and who pays who, but there's four of them that could be involved. I'm saying, I know it's only a guess. Danny Jordan and Irving Koza are probably 15 and 16. Not that it matters, because if it's proved to be true that this money was knowingly given to them to be wasted by Jack Warner, our money that should have come to South African football for the World Cup, and we wasted it on Jack Warner, and it's proved that we knew we were just giving it as a bribe, then the whole house falls down and we can say goodbye to all of them. I'm hoping, and believe me, I defend this country as much as anyone, especially when I'm abroad. I hope that South Africa are able to say with their heads held high, we took this money on good faith, we wanted to help people of the Africa diaspora in Jamaica, in Trinidad and Tobago, in Bermuda, hoping.
Okay. Chris, I want to wrap up the program. Let's look quickly at Sepp Blatter's resignation. Is this perhaps a man who's saying any day I could be in?
Listen, I mean, you have Collins there. Let me say what I keep saying to everybody. This is what would happen as we are talking at the moment until the FIFA, Extraordinary Congress, Sepp Blatter is the president of FIFA. What he said that he won't finish his term. He's going to go off. He's still the president. What we should be worrying or asking ourselves during this period, what is he doing? What is he planning? People who did vote for him, would they vote for the European bloc or they will keep with him and vote for the candidate that he will put forward? He said, I want to stay in FIFA so that I can fix FIFA without being the restriction of being the president. So he is, as we are talking, a FIFA president.
Okay. Lesecha, you have the privilege of being our last caller today. Very quickly.
Hello.
Yes.
I think Neil and FBI and this British, they're chasing an agenda here. Because everything that is African is always supposed to be an agenda about it. So if it's done by black people, it's corrupt and wrong. If it's done by a white person, it's a donation. Blacks cannot do anything right?
But a white president has resigned.
What? What's Danny Jordan? Is he black or white? I'm not British, I'm South African.
No, you're a very white person, aren't you?
Am I?
Yeah, you're white. Anyway, let's leave the race alone here.
Mate, you bring race into it, I lose interest. I'd rather you just got switched off. You bring race into it, what's the point, mate? I have no interest in you.
I'm fighting it the way you're fighting it.
I'm tired of being called white when I talk about football.
Because they say they've been investigating from 24 years ago.
Okay.
But
they're
forgetting about the Germans. What about the Germans?
Race.
Lesecha, unfortunately, I have to cut you, not because of what you're saying, but because we have run out of time. No.
I'm glad we ran out of time on that one, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I've been accused of being white all the time, and I don't think that's fair. I wouldn't do it to anyone else.
Okay, that's fine.
Quite white.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time.
Been great.
Chris, thank you very much. That was question time for today. A big thank you to my guest. Let's meet again tomorrow. Goodbye.